first layer is what happens to me, the second layer is what happens to the other person, and the third layer is what happens between both of us who want to engage in a relationship. Now, the first thing, many people today tell you, back in those our days, back in your days, you are my senior, back in the early days, dating was more physical. You needed to look at the person, study the person for a long time, court the person, attempt to communicate with the person, and in that way you are learning the person is putting through tests, you are putting yourself through tests, both of you are putting yourselves through tests before you finally come to a conclusion. But today it has changed. We now have social media. If I don't believe it or not, 70% of dating today is through social media, and through social media platforms like Tinder, Badoo. People, it's not more like in those days where people will have to meet a lady or a lady will have to meet a man and you guys have to see each other, learn about each other. Now it's about going to a profile on Twitter or on Tinder or on Badoo and looking at somebody and liking the person and believing, oh, this can be the person. And where this has led many of us to fall, many people to fall into problems is because when they go to these social media platforms, you cannot actually see the character of somebody because it's a character-based content. You cannot even see the character of the person. What you see is an attractive profile, and you think because the profile is attractive, that person can be attractive. So you see many people get into a relationship under false pretext of attractiveness of another person, not knowing the content of the person. And when you enter into a relationship, you discover either you're with what they call in pidgin run girl or another called fuck boys, and you end up the relationship is not working. The second thing is what is making many people to remain single is because we are focusing, the youth of today, we have made too much emphasis on our phones. Come on, back in those days, or generally, the best way to know about your society is to observe what is around you, to get up to read books, to follow news articles. But today, youth spend about 5 to 6 hours of their time on platforms like Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You're doing nonsense. You don't improve yourself, you don't improve your academic knowledge, you don't improve your awareness of the surroundings. That's why when many of these people get into a relationship, you discover that you are empty. The only thing you can be proud of maybe is bedmatics. You are very good in bed or you are very good in the kitchen. But like one of the panelists said, when they put you in an actual conversation or an actual problem for you to solve, you discover that you are empty. Now, how do you think relationships can progress from there? No. When I enter, if I am a serious person and I enter into a relationship and see that the other person is not serious, it comes to 2 points. Either I help the other person to become serious. If it's not possible, I will have to tend to become single. Now, the third thing is, many men today or many women today have become too picky. I think one of the panelists raised that point. Have become too picky. No, I want a man who has a car. No, I want a man who has a house. No, I want a man who has a stable job. Forget to know that all those things are what we term vanity. We have seen many cases of people who had nothing today and within the twinkle of an eye become something the next day. We have seen also people who have something today and within the twinkle of an eye become nothing tomorrow. So this aspect of people becoming too picky has led to why many people have failed relationships, thereby becoming single, or many people don't want to get into a relationship because they are trying to, as you put it, they are looking for Mr. Right or Mrs. Right who fits into particular criteria which they want. The fourth thing is people are too busy and ghosting. People have become so focused on jobs, they have become so focused on what they do, and they forget to know that their emotional life also plays a part. You see many women today, somebody goes to school for 7 years, finishes, will have a PhD, goes to another school, have specializations, all that, and you have to realize you're already 35, 40. The way the adrenaline or the emotion, the chemicals that produce love in you are already faded, they are finished. You cannot more fall in love with any person. When any person approaches you, it's either you snub at the person or you don't have time for the person, and it's because the time when you're active to fall into a relationship, you fail to fall in a relationship. Those hormones have expired. There's nothing left. You end up being single. Now, my fifth point is what you have been trying to raise, is the concept of family. Many families today are trying to push their children towards a particular direction of marriage, and that direction has always been such tribalistic. Now, I understand why some parents want to do this. It's because back in those days, they were not as exposed as we are today in the 21st century. There was no internet back in those days. Migration was not as common. People just had to settle within their villages so they could intermarry within themselves. It was very easy. But today, we have the internet, we have the television, people see things, people move from places to places, people learn new things, people meet new people. So there's that tendency of trying to explore a new way of relationship, where this is what parents need to understand. And the best way, or what I can advise parents who want their children to follow this tribalistic idea of marriage, if you don't train your child in the culture, it is very difficult for you to force that child to marry somebody from your tribe. Because you have the child grows up in the city, and you expect when the child gets married or gets mature and wants to get married or settle in a relationship, you want to bring the child back to the village. It is very difficult. Now, some other parents are focusing more on the materialistic part of it. As she said, Mr. Leo, oh, my child went to work, my child went to take he cannot get married to this kind of woman, or she cannot get married to this kind of man. She can get married, has to get married only to a senator, a governor, or an engineer, or this. These have led to many failed relationships because you are not actually wanting two people to fall in love in reality. You are forcing two people to fall in love based on what they have in their pocket. Now, one other reason why many people enter relationships and leave is because while in a relationship, either you are not putting your best foot forward or the other person is not putting the best foot forward. You enter a relationship, there is one particular meme that always circulates on the internet where they show a cock. A cock, they say it's an unmarried man. When a man is unmarried, look at how the cock is fresh. When he becomes married, you see there are no more feathers in him. Or you see a little hen, they say that's a woman before she's married, she's clean. But when she gets married, she becomes fat and bulky, which is true because people, before getting into relationships, they forget to know that the very goals that made them to go into that relationship, they need to keep those goals while in that relationship. Some people think, once I already have this guy, I'm already in love with this guy, I have to stop doing all those things which make the love sparkle between us. Therefore, you see people entering into relationships, somebody was weighing 60 kilos, enter into relationship, the person is weighing 140 kilos, fat. How do you think your partner feels about you? Your financial status, you don't try to stabilize your financial status, you don't try to stabilize your body shape. These are the kind of things which make when people enter into relationships, it does not work and they come out. Now, the last point I'm going to is that concept of...
Carlson, please, we'll be coming back to you. You've spoken for so long, please. We'll be coming. Thank you very much. Let's move over to Bomenda to get the second intervention of Mr. Sanji Yvette.
What I'm saying is that you need a bit of the both. Yeah, you need a bit of the high standards and a bit of the low standards. It's okay. Set your standards on those things that are very key to you, those things that are very important to you, those things that you hold dear. Let them be at high, set them on high standards. But when it comes to other things, relax a little bit. If you have the both, the high and the low, then you're good to go. But if you're completely on the low, it's also a problem. Likewise, if you're completely on the high, it's equally a problem. So I think to regulate the standards, you need to have a bit of the high and a bit of the low, depending on what you hold dear to you. For example, if I hold honesty, sincerity so dear to me, I don't think I can compromise that if I'm looking for a spouse. If I hold faithfulness so dear to me, I don't think I can compromise that when I'm looking for a spouse. But there are other things that I don't hold so dear, but they're also important, but I don't hold so dear to them. So in that case, I can, I have key things I'm looking for. If I see them in you, while you're lacking in some other things that are not very important to me, then it's fine. But if you're expecting to have all the physical traits, physical attributes you're looking for in one person, if you're expecting to have all the character traits you're looking for in one person, if you're expecting to have, that means you just want God to surely create you another perfect human being because that person does not exist. Even with physical attributes, even with physical traits, you will not have it all in one person. If you like a tall guy, like most ladies are like, ooh, tall guys. Okay, I'm like, what is wrong with tall guys? What is so romantic? What is so different about tall guys? Okay, so but I've counseled people here, I've counseled ladies, and all you hear is, he's not the kind of person I was thinking. He's not tall. I said, okay, but what if he has other things? So anyway, I'm not going into that. What I'm trying to say here is that if you have the physical attributes, it's not even possible that you can have it all. If you're looking for let's say a tall guy, maybe not too slim, not too whatever, maybe fair in color or dark in color, it's not possible you can have all these things. If you're a man looking for a lady with you know, an 8 curve, fair, this height, this. You can have some of those things, but not all.
Okay, you can have some of those things, not all. Gwladys, what is wrong in setting standards before settling down with somebody? Is it not just normal? Should we not set standards for ourselves?
La question que je veux poser, c'est quels sont les standards que Adam avait de poser pour avoir Ève? Je ne pense pas qu'il y avait eu des standards.
Ok.
Il n'y avait jamais eu de standards lorsque le Seigneur lui donnait Ève. Dieu a juste vu qu'il était triste, il n'était pas heureux avec tout ce qu'il avait. Il a créé un être qui lui est semblable pour être à côté de lui, une compagne qui lui est semblable pour être à côté de lui. Il n'y avait pas de standard à ce niveau. Alors, au jour d'aujourd'hui, on a des problèmes de standard parce que on a dévié de l'intention originelle du mariage. C'est de là où part le problème. Du coup, je pense que la copanéliste a parlé de nos parents dans le passé où on prenait juste une femme et puis on te donne, bah, on avait de moins en moins des célibataires. Et puis, gloire à Dieu. Mais au jour d'aujourd'hui, on a tellement de célibataires parce qu'on a carrément dévié de l'idée du mariage. On a dévié de ça. Quand le Seigneur dit à Adam, quand il fait Ève, il leur dit, allez et soyez féconds. Quelle est l'intention? Qu'ils aillent, qu'ils deviennent des partenaires, qu'ils multiplient, qu'ils, je ne sais pas comment positionner ça, qu'ils s'additionnent, qu'ils se mettent en exponentiel, mais toujours est-il qu'il faille qu'ils travaillent ensemble pour le bien de leur foyer, pour le bien de leur maison. Mais au jour d'aujourd'hui, Mr. Leo, ce n'est pas ce qu'on observe. Au jour d'aujourd'hui, c'est chacun qui vient, quand il voit une personne, dès que le monsieur te dit bonjour, ou bien la dame te dit bonjour, tu as déjà tes calculs dans la tête. Ok, est-ce que ce monsieur-ci peut me permettre d'avoir une boutique ou une parfumerie? Voilà, tu as déjà toi tes calculs. Avant de répondre au bonjour du monsieur, tu as déjà toi fait tes calculs. Avant je sais pas moi quoi, d'aller vers cette jeune fille, tu as déjà réfléchi, est-ce que la fille s'y peut payer la facture d'électricité? C'est en fait ça le problème. On a dévié en fait de l'intention originelle du mariage. Et c'est pourquoi on se retrouve au jour d'aujourd'hui avec beaucoup de difficultés. Tellement de difficultés au point où on ne peut pas compter le nombre de personnes qui se retrouvent célibataires. On a parlé depuis le début, Monsieur Léo, permettez-moi, du choix. Mais il y a plusieurs autres aspects dont on n'a pas touché, plusieurs autres raisons qui peuvent amener un jeune homme ou une jeune femme à vieillir sans toutefois se marier.
On va venir.
Voilà. Donc, du coup, est-ce qu'au jour d'aujourd'hui, on est capable d'accepter la raison du mariage? Est-ce qu'on est capable? On n'est plus capable. Pourquoi? Il y a les copines qui vont te regarder, mais ma chérie, attends, ton mari... J'ai une collègue qui a dit l'autre jour qu'elle accompagnait sa cousine à son mariage et le monsieur était handicapé et on lui pose la question à savoir que, mais attends, qui peut même épouser le monsieur handicapé si? La société. La société frustre. On est arrivé au niveau où tout le monde frustre tout le monde. On ne peut plus faire des choses parce qu'on veut les faire, mais on fait des choses parce qu'il faut plaire aux autres. On fait des choses parce qu'il faut que les autres nous acclament. On fait des choses parce qu'il faille que les autres disent que, ok, on a atteint le summum, on a ce qui est beau, on a ce qui est parfait, on a la totale en fait. C'est en fait ça le problème. On a carrément dévié. Est-ce que lorsque le monsieur là te dit bonjour ma chérie, toi tu penses dans ta tête que est-ce que je peux même aider le monsieur si à faire quoi? Non, ça ne passe jamais dans nos têtes. La première chose, c'est est-ce qu'il peut me donner combien? Qu'est-ce qu'il peut m'apporter? Qu'est-ce qu'il peut m'apporter? Mais c'est pas ça. C'est pas ça en fait. Le mariage, c'est quoi? Lorsqu'on parle du choix du partenaire, le choix du partenaire, il est important. Mais il ne se limite pas au physique. Il ne se limite pas à l'argent. Il ne se limite pas à X et Y. Il va au-delà de ça. Il va au niveau de la vision. C'est pourquoi j'ai apprécié ce que la jeune dame a dit tout à l'heure. Donne la possibilité à quelqu'un de s'exprimer pour que tu puisses déterminer si la personne qui est en train de te parler au jour d'aujourd'hui a la même vision de la vie que toi, a la même philosophie de la vie que toi. Si vous pouvez cheminer ensemble. Mais si, dès que la personne vient, il n'est pas grand de taille ou bien, non, il est trop grand de taille parce que c'est aussi un problème pour certaines femmes. Oh non, non, il est trop noir. Moi, non, non, non. Tu ne permets même pas à la personne de s'exprimer. Tu ne sauras jamais si cette personne a une vision, une même vision de vie que toi.
Ok.
Donc, tu peux te retrouver avec un partenaire, malheureusement, qui ne te rend pas heureux, pas parce que tu n'avais pas la possibilité de l'avoir, mais c'est parce que tu ne t'es pas donné la chance de faire ce choix.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. It's Bro John from Bamenda. Please greet the panelists for me. I think that even in marriage, we face a lot of problems that might lead to a divorce because we went in for Mr. and Mrs. Right. So I think that this is not only for singles, it's also for us, the married. We face the outcome. Thank you for, for that. It's true. Many divorce cases today because in the marriage, we think that our husbands and wives should be Mr. and Mrs. Right, okay. Mr. Leo, greetings. The English lady, I've said it all. I mean all. When prayers are lacking, a man from Sabolo to Savon, or a woman from locks to perfume. Soup just because the devil sets in temptation, falls for a man, woman, you have not worked to make it up to standard. Some women or men, sometimes just because of anger and competition, will yield in for a person that you can even vomit once caught. Very often, Mrs. Right is always the beginner. It's bad when a young couple gets married and the wife becomes pregnant. The family will come in to send her to the village, creating room for issues of right or wrong. Mr. Clement, Divine Favor Clinic, below Foncha in Bamenda. Good evening to you, Mr. Clement. Glad to read from you. Good evening, sir. There is no Mr. Right anywhere. I think you can't find a perfect person. He or she must have his odds, and some may pretend to be Mr. Right, and when you get married to them, you will see the other side. So there is no Mr. Right. Just choose Mr. Left and drag him to the right. Choose your own demon and start pouring anointing oil on. Candy is writing from Douala. Very interesting one there. Our Elvis teacher from Douala. Good evening. Finding Mr. and Mrs. Right. Serve the Lord. Be yourself. Step outside of your comfort zone. Decide that you are dating to marry. Be willing to let go. Trust God. Be willing to let go. Yeah? Emmanuel Isaac Jock from Tico. Good evening to you, Mr. Liu, and your fellow panelists. There are many reasons why we can't find Mr. and Mrs. Right. In my own opinion, and these times in which we live, there is a lot of conformity to the wrong standards and values, which does not prepare us for marriage life or to find Mr. or Mrs. Right that we need or want. A lot of lies telling, cheating for pleasure and pride. No one wants to shed of themselves to bear with the other and also dictating to the other. These are just a few reasons. Good evening, Mr. Liu. It's Prince Leku from Boya. Like your topic of discussion today, Mr. Liu, God has never put together two perfect people. The truth is one person has to submit because when power meets power, the lesser power must bow. If not, there will be confusion. We're taking a short break. When we come back, we continue our discussions on the search for Mr. and Mrs. Right.
With DSTV English Bag, Your subscription enters a new dimension. Movies, series, novellas, emotions are more deeper in English language. Enjoy La Liga from the front row and the Premier League in immersion. On Nickelodeon, English is just superpower absolute.
What is the prize? Please go now.
With E and One Magic in original version. Reality TV becomes real TV. And on African News and Discovery, News and Discovery shines worldwide. Post your programs with a DSTV English pack option of Color Plus and its 15 premium channels. Accessible as from 5,000 friends. Take advantage now.
TLC 2021. Wisdom Foundation presents the biggest talent exhibition in the nation, the Light Convention 2021. Welcome to the 9th edition of this mega international event with theme, Rebuilding the Wings. This event brings to you amazing discoveries from all over the nation. Come and experience the very best of music, dance, fashion, comedy, spoken word, graphic design, arts and craft, painting, entrepreneurship, and more. From the 3rd to the 6th of November at Chariot Hotel, Boya. Morning sessions 8 a.m., evening sessions 4 p.m. A show like no other. Exhibitions that will blow your mind.
How can you describe your feeling this evening?
Oh, very excited, but I'm also on fire because the young people, through their energy, has shown us that the future is bright.
An experience that will make you dream again. Uncommon training sessions by top-notch trainer, the biggest youth fair, hosted by the phenomenal and dynamic Left4 Divine. Tickets available. Regular 5,000, VIP 15,000, VIP couple 25,000, VVIP couple 50,000. Table for 4 100,000. Table for 8 500,000 francs CFA. Contact 675528 675528266. See you at TLC 2021, an event where everybody is a celebrity.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime Hour on my Media Prime. We are going to continue with our discussion on the search for Mr. and Mrs. Right, the reason why many end up as singles. Now, Fru Anita Ngwe, can we also look at from parents, can we look at the dimension of most of our churches today who says this is our daughter, this is our son, you must get married to a brother who is like-minded and like this. So those standards are also set in churches.
Yes, Mr. Leo. When you were talking, I was just smiling because I've come across so many of them.
Okay.
Like a brother in church, sister in church. Let's see. But what beats my imagination is the fact that we know before we get married, we get into a relationship. We understand each other. We get into courting. We court. There in the courting, we understand each other. I know your weaknesses. You know mine. I know your strength. You know mine. But now with the churches, we know in church, we don't advise people to get into a relationship without getting married. Like Pam, they say, okay, sister, you are good with a brother, Pam, a relationship. So I don't really know how it works, but maybe they have a way of doing it. And at the end, you see, many of them, they suffer. Because since they are under the canopy of the church, there are certain things that they cannot expose out. I don't understand you, you don't understand me. They are quarreling, but they are hiding. They are really suffering in the relationship, but they are just covering everything.
My focus more is on the choice of who to get married. Its sister is in this church. Are there no standards that are set by the church that you, sister, you must look for brother who is not like this and that, and then you, brother, we don't want to see you get married to a sister who is like this. Those are the standards also.
Yeah,
and the brothers and sisters may wait for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years waiting for that type of brother or sister recommended for in the church.
Yeah, because at times they will say, like, if you are in the choir, maybe you are not good. You are not good to get married to an usher. Maybe it's a choir member, or maybe this other, maybe the usher is not up to the standard or whatsoever. Mr. Leo, you're very correct. Those standards are also set in church. And that's what makes most of the Christians to suffer. Most of the Christians, they're like, you look at this sister, you like the sister, you people are like, you can go together, you're good to go. But since those standards are set, depending on the churches with their standards or whatsoever, you cannot go against it. That's why you find most of them to succeed, they always fall back from the church.
They fall back from the church. I'm trying to look at the case that can we find Mr. Right and Mrs. Right only in church? Because the tendency is to tell people, don't go out there, because if you go out there, those guys are not good there, those girls out there. In church, do we have the Mr. and Mrs. Right?
No, Mr. Leo. No.
Yes, I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
No, we don't have it in church.
No, we don't. Ici, déjà, je suis pasteur et je veux dire que la dame a parlé de quelque chose de très important, la prière. La prière dans la relation. C'est une clé essentielle pour le succès du mariage, dans le foyer. Et la vérité, c'est que lorsque peut-être tu vas rencontrer une sœur ou un frère à l'église et que vous deux, vous avez été bâtis spirituellement, que ce soit dans la prière, parce qu'il y a un problème ici, c'est que les gens ne sont pas formés pour se marier. On ne forme plus, nos parents ne nous forment plus pour le mariage, ne nous préparent plus pour le mariage. Que ce soit l'homme, que ce soit la femme. Tu grandis et puis tu te débrouilles. Mais par avant, on formait les gens pour le mariage. Mais c'est ce qui se passe à l'église. Quand tu es à l'église, tu es une jeune fille, on te prépare déjà pour le mariage. Il y a des séminaires pour la préparation au mariage. Okay. Il faudrait que tu saches que en tant qu'épouse, voici ce que tu dois faire. En tant que époux, voilà ce que tu dois faire. Si en temps de conflit, peut-être dans le foyer ou bien dans la relation, voici ce que tu dois faire. Ce sont, oui, monsieur Léo, ce sont des conseils.
Non, mais est-ce que je décide ce que vous dites?
Non, c'est parce que vous m'avez regardé un peu comme si j'étais en train de sortir de l'ordinaire. Mais je vous assure, ce sont des choses qui se font à l'église et nulle part ailleurs. Ça se fait à l'église.
Est-ce que les cas de divorce, de séparation à l'église,
il y a des cas de divorce et de séparation à l'église. Pourquoi ça existe? Ça existe pourquoi? L'apôtre Paul lui-même, il a dit, ou c'est Christ qui l'a dit, vous divorcez parce que vos cœurs sont endurcis. Quand ton cœur devient endurci, tu n'arrives plus à pardonner, tu n'arrives plus à être tempérant envers le conjoint. La prochaine chose, c'est quoi? Tu vas chercher à divorcer.
Mais pourtant, si tu as l'église, non?
On forme les gens à l'église. On vous donne des conseils. C'est comme à l'école. Et à toi de l'appliquer ou pas du tout. Mais déjà, on t'a donné la base. On t'a donné la clé de succès, la clé de réussite dans ton foyer.
À l'école, il n'y a pas le Saint-Esprit. Hein?
Pardon?
Il n'y a pas le Saint-Esprit.
Non, le Saint-Esprit, il est partout. Sérieusement, le Saint-Esprit, il est partout, même à l'école.
Il y a l'onction divine à l'église.
Non. Je vais dire une chose, c'est que le Saint-Esprit, il est partout. La Bible dit quoi? Je ne vivrai plus jamais, je n'habiterai plus jamais dans des maisons faites par les mains d'hommes, mais j'habiterai dans des maisons faites par mes mains. Il dit par autre part que vous êtes des vases de terre et à l'intérieur, il y a un trésor qui est le Saint-Esprit, qui est Dieu.
Vous allez venir brièvement avant qu'elle ne vienne. Ma question est que vous êtes à l'église.
Oui.
On donne les standards. Les gens qui sont dehors là, ce sont les standards, non, comme les parents donnent, non? Épouse celui qui est parti dans l'école, qui est parti à l'ENAM, dans Q, ceci, cela. Ceux qui sont à l'église, donc il ne faut pas sortir là-bas dehors. Est-ce que les Mr. Right et Mrs. Right sont que dans l'église?
Je vais dire une chose, Monsieur Léo, je vais le redire, c'est que on vous a donné au moins quelque chose, une formation. On vous a donné quelque chose, une base, qui est la prière dans le couple. Comment fonctionner avec le conjoint.
Est-ce que vous répondez vraiment à ma question?
Oui, Monsieur Léo.
Mr. Right et Mrs. Right sont dans l'église. Vous faites de la politique.
Qu'est-ce qu'on peut appeler, je suis politicienne, qu'est-ce qu'on peut appeler Monsieur Right ou Mrs. Perfect? Mrs. Right ou Mrs. Perfect, pour moi, peut être cette personne-là qui est capable de faire les compromis dans le couple, qui est capable d'accepter que mon conjoint n'aime pas que je pose la bouteille d'eau ici, je ne la pose pas.
Tu peux être dans l'église et en dehors de l'église?
C'est possible, c'est très possible.
C'est ça ma question.
Non, c'est très possible. Ce n'est pas une restriction, mais comment on peut dire ça? C'est un plus. Ce n'est pas une restriction. Tu peux avoir des gens à l'église ou dans l'église qui écoutent, mais qui ne pratiquent pas ce qu'ils écoutent. C'est très clair. Et comme tu peux avoir des gens qui ne sont même pas dans l'église, mais qui ont cet amour-là, cette compréhension, cette tempérance envers autrui. Et ça existe partout. Mais seulement, c'est un plus à avoir quelqu'un qui a la même vision que toi, qui a la même base que toi.
Dans l'église. Have you seen cases like that? That is, sister is in church for 10 years, waiting for a brother in the church. Meanwhile, maybe they're
outside.
Yeah.
The missing rib may be walking around. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Leo, I've seen cases like that because you see them in church.
You see our sisters in church.
Yes, you see they are sisters. Yes, us. You see us in church. Going to that church doesn't make us perfect. We all have our flaws. Because church is not a guarantee that you are perfect. I can be going to church every day, but my deeds doesn't reflect what I am practicing in that church. Listening to the word is something else. Digesting that word is another thing else. And putting it into practice is another thing. So when you see us in church and we feel that maybe because we are Christians in church, I have to get married to this. I think this person will be right for me. Mr. Right or Mrs. Right can never be found in church. It is not a guarantee that we can get them in church. There are some cases that we can actually get them in church. But the cases are slim. The percentage, if you want to weigh it, is very slim because at the end of the day, even those that the pastors and maybe the prayer warriors, they encourage them to get married. At the end of the day, you see them crumbling. They end up not working. Why? Because they did not do it out of the heart. It was out of influence. Somebody was influencing the decision because since I'm in this church, I'm in the choir, let me get married to my fellow chorister since we are good to go. He's singing well, she sings well. We are two matches. So the other one is the same. And it doesn't guarantee that we will make a good couples.
Mais est-ce que vous n'avez pas vu les cas où certaines filles ont refusé les mecs ou peut-être le pasteur n'a pas encouragé un mariage ou quelque chose parce que soit l'homme n'allait pas à l'église et que finalement ça ne marche pas juste parce que l'homme n'a pas adhéré à l'idée de partir dans une église.
Oui.
Vous n'avez pas vu ça?
Oui, ça existe, mais pour moi, je dis que c'est une erreur. C'est une erreur parce que la Bible nous dit que si tu épouses quelqu'un qui n'est pas converti, quelqu'un qui n'est pas sanctifié, toi, par ta sanctification, tu le sanctifies. Donc, il n'y a pas de raison de mettre un blocage ou une barrière envers quelqu'un d'autre parce que, entre guillemets, la personne ne vient pas dans ton église. Non. Moi, je dis que c'est une erreur que beaucoup de personnes font et une erreur qui doit être corrigée à l'avenir.
Have you had instances where some persons were blocked because they were not going to the same church?
Yes.
Yes, I've had instances like that because this said to be pastor, out of experience from the case staff watch, this said pastor actually refused this lady not to get married to the man of her dreams, telling her that she should get married from a member in the church.
A brother.
A brother from the same congregation. This lady actually said, my heart belongs to somebody. I can't marry somebody I don't love. But at the end of the day, I asked this question, why should you force somebody to go against his or her will? It's not done.
Maybe the pastor in the vision sees what you don't see.
Mr. Leo, and when we are talking about relationship love, it is not a matter of somebody getting a revelation for me to come and tell me what to do in my relationship, in my love affair. You understand? In this light, I see it into the case that you are a pastor. You can just help me spiritually, groom us spiritually, guide me in a spiritual way, give me scriptures to go through. We will help build my relationship successfully, rather than you imposing in me to get married because this person is in this church or I am in this church, I should get married to this person. I don't see it that way because you are actually working on a bridge that will end up being broken.
Okay. Carlson Ayaba, let me get back to you. Are many persons setting these standards are based on what they see on telenovelas? You see the way Genevieve Naji behaves with Ramsey Noah in a film and think that your husband-to-be must be like Ramsey Noah when they were just acting movies.
All right. Okay, yeah, what people see on TV and they want to think what happens in film comes to real life. Now, before I come to that point, can I just go back to the point of church? Let me tell you the point of church. I've asked everybody, I need to come inside as well.
Okay.
One thing about church, Mr. Leo, the church is a very dangerous place to look for a woman, from my own opinion. That is one of the most dangerous places you are going on earth to look for a man.
Carlson, please.
Yes, Mr. Leo.
Use your words wisely. You can't say the church is a dangerous place, please. Go on.
Okay, I'll prove to you why the church is dangerous place. Mr. Leo, we have heard of cases of pastors sleeping with church members, of deacons sleeping with choir mistress. In the Catholic Church, there have been many reports of Reverend Fathers sleeping with nuns or Reverend Fathers sleeping with underage kids. So the church has always been, in my mind, a very dangerous place to go and look for it. When you go to most of these Pentecostal churches and you go to the prayer line for marriage requests, who do you see there? You see mostly women. It's always mostly women. You hardly see men there. I wish tells you something. Most of these women, when you look at them, you analyze them, they are always the age of 35 and above. What happens to them during their youthful age? If you go into an in-depth analysis, these women were players. You cannot be cooking beans and expecting to eat at two. The way you make your bed, that's how you lie on it. It is not by going to a church where you are going to think that you are going to camouflage yourself and somebody will come and take you out and it will change. It's not a church which changes somebody. So those who go to the church, of course, there are good people who go to church. There are good people in the church. But in my own opinion, majority of people who go to the church are very dangerous people. Some people even carry witchcraft and enter the church to look for a spouse. I've heard about few cases where people tie juju and still enter the church to look for a spouse. So going to the church is very dangerous. Now, coming back to your question which you asked, where it's something is true, what you said is very true. Our generation today has been so glued to TV, telenovelas, Nigerian movies, what we see Genevieve Naji and Ramsey Noah acting, or what happens in the Indian movies, and we expect that we can put all those things as scripts. Scripts are what somebody has written from his imagination. It does not reflect the reality. You cannot be having a problem with your partner and you see maybe in the movie Genevieve slaps Ramsey Noah and Ramsey Noah holds his jaw and starts crying and they solve their problem. Try it in the African context to slap your spouse, they will kill you alive. So most of what we see on TV, those are scripts. We should not be looking at those kind of things. That is where communication in a relationship, before a relationship or within a relationship, is very important. You need to be able to know your partner in or out. I need to look at my partner. I know when my partner is sad. I know when my partner is happy. I know when my partner is having a particular reaction so that I know the way I behave. If you do not communicate to your partner, if you think what you see on TV is what you are going to apply into a real-life relationship, trust me, Italy, your relationship is never going to work. And that's one of the reasons why many people remain single. And now, it does not only end there. You need to understand the fact that look at Genevieve, upon all the things she asked on TV, she is still single. So stop looking at all those flashy lights. You look, maybe Ramsey Noah was poor in the village, and out of the story, he just becomes rich. You think if you sit in your house and you don't work, you also become sorry. You need to put work. Movies will not show you the real fight. Movies are just excerpts of something somebody has scrambled up and is showing people in 1 hour 30 minutes. A relationship cannot be built on what you have watched, a fictional stuff you have watched for 1 hour 30 minutes. You have to work yourself. You have to work your partner has to work herself, him or herself. And it is something which does not take 1 hour 30 minutes. It takes a very, very long time. Now, as I said, the point I brought earlier, people have sold themselves. You have been engaging your life when you were youthful. You were engaging your life, sleeping with many men, sleeping with many women, going to snacks, doing this up and down. And when you reach 29, 30 years, you think you will settle down. No, we have gone. It is not in those days where things were hiding. One of the things which TV has also come to help us is because TV, or let me say in broad technology, is because it can help us to see the things which you have been hiding in your life. You just take somebody's picture and you put on the TV or you put on social media, and within a few seconds, about 100 people know another person, and they will tell you stories which that person could never tell you. So, in as much as TV also brings the bad side of deceiving us with what we see on telenovelas and films, technology and TV also brings a good side because you cannot hide from the realities of your past. Whatever you did in your past, technology is going to expose it in front of you.
Okay. We are going over to the Northwest region to get the intervention of Mr. Sanji Yvette.
To look for somebody that's a human being. It is not like this person is going to fall from Mars and then look so perfect. So set your standards. It's normal. If your standards are too high, you obviously stay single. Yes, that's the truth. And even if you are married, if your standards are still too high, it can break your marriage. We have a particular temperament, the melancholy personality. These people have perfectionism as part of their temperament. Okay? Now, when either they are married or they are looking for a spouse, you realize that their expectations are a little bit too high. And so if I'm counseling you and you're a melancholy person, you're a melancholy personality, I'll let you know. You need to consciously work on your standards. You need to consciously work on what you look as excellence, because your standards, they are a little bit high. And the truth is, you never appreciate anything your spouse does, because they will never meet up with those standards. We have even people that have very high standards. I'm not even talking about relationship-wise. They find it difficult to associate with others. You know, they just look at life like, no, I don't like people that do things anyhow. I won't want to be part of this kind of team. So they hardly associate, because they know that those people don't meet up with, you know, they don't do things the way he thinks or she thinks the things are supposed to be done. So in life generally, high standards is good, but you need to know, always be ready to regulate. Have them on a scale. Have both high standards, have both low standards, both in life and in relationships, and you'll be able to make it. If you have completely too high standards, you find it difficult to interact with people. You find it difficult to even relate with others. Talk less of a relationship or marriage. So if you are single today because your standards were a little bit too high, I'm not saying that you should cut down on all your high standards. Hold dear to some of your high standards, but also remember that there's some that you need to relax on. When you do this, life will be more easier for you. Life will be more enjoyable. One thing is, when you're choosing a life spouse, there are key things you can go in for. If you desire honesty, you desire sincerity, trust, faithfulness, know that sometimes it might not be possible to have all these things in one person. Especially if you're also putting this in line with physical attributes, it will be difficult.
Welcome back. Good evening, Mr. Liu. All we want is peace to return in these two regions. That's not what we are discussing today now. This one says, good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all the panelists. It's good to look for Mr. and Mrs. Right. If they are not forthcoming, then look for Mr. and Mrs. Wrong and make them right to your taste. Okay? Daisy is writing from Kumba. Hello, Mr. Leo. Ever had it simple except that snake that deceived her? Okay, you mean Eve. And destroyed our existence up until now. But if women didn't have the influence of the family and of the friends, all marriages will be wedding between Mr. and Mrs. Right. Max Begini from Düsseldorf, Germany. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Terence Manji from Buddha. So many end up single because they think they will have another guy better than the first person he or she has come across. Okay. Gembe Eric says, good evening all. I support what the lady in white says. I have often said it to many that many churches put their interest first when it comes to their Christians getting married. They love to pair within their church for the growth of their church. She or he marry out of the church. There is high possibility to change church, especially the case of a girl. That causes them to lose Christians, okay? Good evening, Mr. Leo. It's Nelson from Kribi. You can't cook a pot of soup without testing it. That my sister said it all. A good couple can't go without dating. Mr. Leo, amazing program, but I would like to tell those ladies that they should say the truth, okay? Stop sounding like they can marry a poor man. Okay. After all, I'm Mr. Ron Mop. I'm the last faithful and Mr. Right. I am the last one on earth. So for any lady looking for Mr. Right, should contact me. Writing from Yaoundé, BMRC. Okay, Mr. Right, good evening to you, Mr. Ron Mop. Good evening, I'm Mambo Sylvie. It is difficult for two rights to meet each other. Glenn is writing from Bamenda, says, good evening, sir. Some people stay single because when their hearts say yes to a certain person, friends and family members say it's not their type. Glenn is from Bamenda. Many persons are talking about the fact that even though the family and friends, that society, many persons will be genuinely and happily married. Is it true?
It's true. It's true, Mr. Liu. It's true. Because most of the cases of people staying back without married, it's like influence. I love this guy. I want to get married to the guy. No, what did you see in that guy? This guy is this, he is that, he is. So they influence you negatively and you end up because you don't have that decision. You don't have that self-decision to stand and say, no, nobody can change my mind. Nobody can influence me. So you see, the society plays a lot of impact on it. You see, you have a guy, you know, us ladies, we like having female friends. The moment you confine in your female friend, you don't know whether he or she is happy that you are going to indulge yourself in a relationship with her still staying single. What she will do there, she will try to like convince you not to have that guy. So there are a lot of things that society plays around in our relationships when we want to have a guy. Then for the one that the guy said, can those in the studio get married to poor guys? I laughed because it's not actually poor. Nobody is poor, but it depends how we categorize it. How we say this guy is poor, because I know there is no man that lacks. They have, but we want to get to that high standard. As what Mr. Sanji said, that when we set our standards high, that's where we always fail. When you set your standard low, you will meet a guy of your standard, of that standard. Together, you people will grow and make your home what you want it to be. Because I'm just speaking out of experience. When you set your standard low, and I earlier said, there should be that mutual love. When the mutual love does not coexist between you people, nothing will move. So when you set your standards low, you get somebody, you guys can grow. Most people who are living happily today in their marriages, they started from nothing. But today they are something, and they'll be proud. And when you look at a marriage like that, the bond between the couples is very strong. Because the woman will stand anywhere with every authority and hit her chest and say, no, I've made it, have overcome, have gone through. Because she knows what she has gone through. Believe me, women like that still exist. They exist in the society. We exist. I exist, and I existed, and I am still existing. So it happens.
Yes, so Mr. Right, they can get married to whoever, please. I'm sure what they are looking out for, and many other women, is just the right mindset now. Persons will like visions, and not necessarily people who have made it in life. Good evening, dear panelists. My opinion why many girls remain single is because some girls are too selective and not spiritual in that this man may be the perfect one for you, but due to his physical looks, they turn down their proposal with the excuse that it is not my dream man. Mercy from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Leo and humble panelists. Mr. Leo, most women today are too selective. They look for wealthy men. They don't care about your character-wise, and some ladies quit their good relationship thinking they can have Mr. Right out there. Sam Rich, writing from Yaoundé. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Many people end up single, especially the women, because they are looking for a perfect somebody. They go out with a lot of expectations, and when those expectations aren't met, they prefer to stay single. If a man has 60% of what you're looking for, you can consider taking into consideration that the other 40 you can handle or cope with them. Make you are Mr. and Mrs. Right, okay? Sakwe Moses, writing from Limbe, says, good evening to you all in the studio. The question is, who is Mr. and Mrs. Right? I think this is the reason why we have so many unmarried and divorce cases. Some even go in thinking it is the Mr. and Mrs. Right. When the expected isn't seen, they end up having problems and even divorce. You can make your own Mr. and Mrs. Right. Jason, writing from Equatorial Guinea, says, greetings to Mr. Liu and all the panelists. My regards to all. This question goes to Ms. Asanji. Is it advisable to marry a woman with 4 children that has 60% of the qualities you are looking for? Please, your opinion on this matter counts a lot. Can you just write to me after the program? I'll send you Mrs. Asanji's the number so that you can communicate with them. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all on board from Mr. Mbong in Boya. Great topic. Generally, there are so many factors why ladies remain single and never marry till they die. But I think there are 3 main factors I call anti-marital virus. Poor character that be explained by poor parental upbringing. Before a man says 1, you have already said 5. 2, pride. Pride that may be explained high education standards, affluent family backgrounds, etc. 3, family curses and anti-marital evil altars. But this can be handled by prayers and deliverance. Ladies should work on their character, love, and serve God, and they will never remain single. Okay. Hello, good evening. This is Ndum from Bomen. That the lady in red is absolutely right. You can't change nobody. If you look someone, you will understand and tolerate. If you understand the person you want to say, if you love someone. Now, we are talking about setting standards. You want the guy who behaves this way, who looks like this and that, who has attained this level of education, but seemingly has done nothing to work on yourself. Maybe you may not want to go to school just because you're beautiful. You don't want to do anything, but you want the best. You have set standards for your husband to be, but no standard for yourself. Isn't that also the problem?
That's a very big problem.
Because as you're looking for standards out there, they are also looking for standards in you.
It's true. That's a very big problem. Because we focus mostly on others, forgetting ourselves. I will always say it is good to what you want from this person, be that thing, and you will get it from that person. That is, you start from your own self, work on yourself, your attitude. The attitude you're expecting another person to exhibit, you yourself start by exhibiting that attitude. When you comes out with it, you see into it that the other person will flow with you normally. There'll be no problem. Because if I keep pride, I'm too proud, I don't even want to, I minimize or I underlook others. And then I'm too selective. Why is it that am I selecting these people for? This particular man that I'm really like, What are my criteria? What do I want? Let me also work on myself, because the same thing I'm expecting from this person is actually expecting that from me. So I should start working from within me. It should come from within, and this person will flow with me.
Okay. So anybody who wants to get a Mr. Right should start working on themselves to be the Mrs. Right. Good. So that Mr. Right can identify you tonight.
Tu ne peux pas recevoir ce que tu ne peux pas donner. C'est pas possible. Ce que tu veux recevoir, il faut donner. Donc, il est très important. C'est pourquoi je disais tantôt quelque part que le problème vient du fait qu'on n'est pas préparé nous-mêmes à être des épouses ou à être des époux. Et on espère que l'autre qui vient soit préparé à être un époux ou une épouse avec les standards que nous avons mis. Alors que nous-mêmes, on ne s'est pas préparé à l'avance pour arriver à être cette personne-là. On parle d'autre part de la vertu. Il y a un intervenant qui a parlé du caractère. C'est très important. Le caractère, pourquoi? La vertu, pourquoi? La Bible nous dit qu'il est mieux de rester à l'ombre, c'est-à-dire dans un coin quelque part, que de rester dans la maison d'une femme querelleuse. Pourquoi? Parce que cette jeune femme-là, elle n'a pas appris à être une épouse. Elle connaît juste les conflits. Elle a grandi dans les conflits, elle n'a pas appris à être une épouse. Alors, ça va prendre peut-être de l'autre conjoint d'user de la patience, de l'amour qu'il a à l'intérieur de lui pour supporter une femme ou un époux de ce genre. Il y a des femmes qui supportent des messieurs colériques, tellement colériques que les gens lui posent la question que, mais ma chérie, tu fais comment? Tu fais ça comment? Mais elle a pris sur elle, c'est mon partenaire, c'est mon conjoint, je l'aime et je vais le supporter. Et je vais lui donner ce que j'attends qu'il me donne en retour. La vérité, c'est que si quelqu'un te fait du mal longtemps et que toi, tu passes ton temps à lui faire du bien, à un moment donné, même dans le subconscient, la personne va se dire, mais attends, pourquoi est-ce que je suis toujours la personne à devoir faire du mal? Il faut aussi que j'essaye de faire quelque chose de bon à cette personne. C'est de là où part maintenant le changement de l'autre conjoint. C'est un peu là où beaucoup de femmes, nous, on fait fausse route parce qu'on essaye d'apporter le changement là avec nos paroles, mais pas avec notre manière de faire, notre caractère. On n'essaye pas de donner à ce conjoint-là ce qu'on espère qu'il nous donne en retour. On parle, on agit moins. Et c'est là où part le problème. Et on se retrouve avec des divorces, on se retrouve avec des relations qui n'aboutissent pas. Il y a un autre intervenant qui a parlé de quelque chose de très important. Parce que l'autre monsieur, il a dit que les femmes de 37 ans, 40 ans ne se marient pas parce qu'elles ont joué la vie et patati et patata. Moi, je vais dire non. Il y a des personnes qui ont des problèmes spirituels pour le mariage. Il ne faut pas qu'on mette ça de côté. Nous sommes en Afrique, nous sommes des Africains.
That's what Mr. Mbon just highlighted.
Oui. Il ne faudrait pas qu'on mette ça de côté. Il y a tout ce qu'on a cité, mais il y a aussi le fait que nous sommes Africains, nous sommes en Afrique, et il y a des gens qui ont les problèmes concernant le mariage et qui ont besoin d'assistance spirituelle pour ce mariage-là. Et dans cette assistance spirituelle-là, il n'y a pas seulement la prière, il n'y a pas seulement le jeûne, mais il y a aussi le fait de bâtir la personne en question pour se préparer à être prêt au mariage. C'est toutes ces choses-là qui sont autour, qui amènent maintenant à la délivrance de cette personne et à l'établissement de cette personne. Pourquoi est-ce qu'on peut voir une femme qui a atteint 60 ans sans se marier et elle va à l'église, elle se marie? Pourquoi? C'est possible, c'est très possible. Peut-être de ses 18 ans ou de ses 19 ans jusqu'à 60 ans, elle n'avait pas peut-être le caractère qu'il fallait, elle n'avait pas la compréhension qu'il fallait, elle n'avait pas ce qu'il fallait. Il y avait aussi le problème de la magie africaine qui ne la permettait pas de se marier. Il faut dire, la spiritualité africaine n'est pas seulement mauvaise, mais on parle de la spiritualité africaine négative qui vient ici empêcher quelqu'un d'être heureux, d'empêcher à quelqu'un de se marier. Donc, il y a des femmes et des messieurs qui vivent ces situations. Il y a des femmes, des jeunes filles qui peuvent rencontrer des messieurs ou des jeunes hommes qui veulent les épouser, mais la mère du monsieur décide de faire des pratiques pour que tu n'épouses jamais son fils. Ça existe. Nous sommes Africains, il ne faut pas qu'on mette ça de côté.
Ok. Oui, mais il y a aussi les femmes qui pratiquent pour avoir les maris, non? C'est vrai, non?
En même temps, mais seulement ça ne dure jamais.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. No Mr. and Mrs. Right exist. Most ladies remain single because they expect to meet a perfect relationship instead of building a perfect match. Men should also be comfortable and consider their women more than sufficient for them. Otherwise, you will lose Mrs. Right and take Mrs. Wrong. Sumbele Kelvin is writing from Kong Samba. Hi, it's Nelson. I'm a good example. I met my woman in a club. I took her the way she is. Everything I own today is because of her. Then I was nothing, but I know her weak points. Okay, great. Good evening, panelists. I'm Ephraim from Yaoundé. That's a great topic over there. I must appreciate that. I just wish to know those who claim to be Mr. and Mrs. Right, who are the majority that end up single ladies or men. Single ladies or men, and what is the reason? Those reasons have been advanced here. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Family background and behavior of already married brothers or sisters may cause a lady to remain single. Marriage in itself is commitment. So ladies, if marriage is not coming, do not kill yourself. Marriage is not an achievement, but rather a way of fulfilling scripture. Eliza from BMRC, that's in Yaoundé. Hello, good evening. There is no Mr. Right. The problem is that women are looking for the characteristics of a non-living thing in men. Ladies should learn to accept the way they are. Thanks. Jodune is writing from Bondumagate in Boya. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm loving the program. What I have to say is, are single ladies and gentlemen nowadays are searching for perfect love, or should I say perfect spouse? Meanwhile, they themselves are not and can't be perfect, but the only way to get such spouses is to build them yourself so they become who you want them to be. Okay, good evening, Mr. Leo. What in a situation where you set a low standard like getting married to a man who is poor and has not gone through school, and why you didn't love him, but you got married to him thinking that with time you could affect some changes in him, expecting that the love will grow, but no, it didn't. So what do we do in this case? Because I don't know what to do anymore. I'm so tired. Please advise me. Can you just write to me? I'll send you a counselor's number. They will talk with you. Carlson Ayaba. Can we also understand that some men and women are single because they opted to be free, enjoy liberty?
If you did not bring up this question, I would have probably concluded this debate was not a cycle, it did not get complete. It is true. Some people are also single because of the benefits of being single. What are the benefits of being single? You don't have to spend time worrying about somebody's emotional stress, because a relationship is not a bed of roses. There are ups and downs, and some people are not ready for that kind of thing. Some people are kid phobia. Some people don't like the presence of kids. They don't want to have kids. They believe they have to remain on their own. Some people are so focused on their job and they prefer to remain that way. While some people want to get the financial freedom of being single, because especially for the men, when a man marries a woman, he tends to marry the entire family. Some people want to limit themselves from getting that expenditure freedom. I'm not spending on my wife, I'm spending all on myself and my family. Another point which the benefits of being single is that, as I said, you don't have to go through this emotional trauma. The emotional trauma from your spouse, the emotional trauma from being in a relationship, the emotional trauma from your in-laws and the rest. So we cannot have completed this while not talking about the benefits of being single. In other cases, like in the context of Cameroon, where if we look at it globally, in Europe and overseas, gay and lesbian unions are okay. But in Cameroon here, we have people who are gay and lesbian, and you tend to see them being single, not because they actually want to be single, but because it benefits them not to come out as a gay or a lesbian. If not, the community is not going to accept them. So a few number of people which we see outside are also single because of the fact that they cannot express their sexual freedom. So like I said, We have people who want to enjoy the financial freedom from being single. We have people who want to go through the emotional drama that comes through relationship. There are some people who don't want to enter, while there are others who have entered into relationships and they have had many dramas and they just back out, oh no, I cannot do this kind of thing. Some people don't have that concept of coming into a union, raising a family, having kids. No, it's out of the head of some people. And the last thing is some people don't want the drama that comes from having in-laws or family members or non-family members to cater for. So there's also a good side, in as much as there's a bad side for people being single, there's also a good side why people want to choose to be single, Mr. Lee. Thank you very much for that question. I mean, if this question or if that this point wouldn't have come up, I would have felt very that this video was not exciting.
Okay. Let's move over to Bamenda to get the last intervention of Mr. Sanji Yvette.
Value, same beliefs. I mean, the belief system. Somebody that values the things you value. You should not value integrity and you marry someone that goes around fighting on the street. Go in for someone that you share, you know, you can connect with easily. Someone you can relate with. Someone you can talk with, you can communicate with. You can make friends with. One thing is you don't need to necessarily marry your friend or marry someone that is a friend to you, but you are expected to do what? Build friendship out of that marriage. So when you're considering all these things, remember that at the end of the day, marriage is a relationship. It's one of the most complicated relationships that any human being can ever have. It's more complicated than brother or siblings relationship. It's more complicated than boss-employer relationship. It is complicated because people come in with selfish interests. If you're coming in just for what you're going to get, you might never get it. Come in willing to also give. Marriage is made up of two givers. If you come in ready to give and another person comes in ready to give, both of you'll be able to satisfy each other. But if you're coming in just from what you want to get, and that's where some of those standards are really a problem. You set standards only what you want to get. But what are you giving? What are you giving? If you're looking for Mr. Right, be sure you're Mrs. Right. Yeah. And if you're looking for Mrs. Right, be sure you're Mr. Right. If you're looking for a wife material as a man, be sure you're a good teller. So that when you get the wife material, when you get that good wife material, you will also get it in, make any kind of pash. You will saw something that is making sense. So what I'm trying to say here is that set your standards, but know that we are all human beings. Nobody is perfect. Nobody can have all of what you're looking for. It's not possible you can have it all in one person. So this is where compromise comes in. This is where tolerance comes in when it comes to marriage. We must tolerate, we must compromise some things to live happily, because it's not everything about your spouse that you like. It's not. Ask those who are happily married. They will tell you that there are some things that they don't like, but they are good to go.
The things that they don't like, but they are good to go. We've seen some friends who are happy. They say, I know I'm married. I just be happy. So, have you seen some of them? But is it also because some girls are they isolate themselves, they don't associate themselves, and then some are also not able to withstand competition or jealousy. So they prefer to shelve themselves away. Have you seen these cases? The boy who broke my heart, I know I better judge this.
I better judge this because they don't feel broke the heart and no one broke them again. Yes, there are ladies like that, like what Carlson said, that there are men that will not want to get married because they just want to stay off some pressure, some relationship or whatsoever. There are ladies as well that will not want to be controlled, because we know once you are a woman and you are under a man, you need to be submissive, or you need to tolerate, tolerance, what the person says. As she said, some ladies will say, I'm in this marriage, it's not that it's too perfect, but just because I support certain things. So other ladies will not like to support those things. So they'll want to have their freedom. They don't want somebody to control them. So they'll prefer that, okay, especially those that are already working there in the working class, they'll say, okay, I prefer to stay single. I don't need anything from a man. If I want to have a man, I'll get a man and I pass and I go on. I don't need anything from a man. I have my money. I don't know if I need a man. Some of them are just eager to have a man, to have babies. They'll take care of their children and let the man be there. They don't want any commitment because they just want to live a carefree life with nobody disturbing them.
Okay. They want to be carefree. They don't want Oga to say, what's your It's Nelson again. I love the program. I wish my family from Bamenda should watch this because they think that my woman should be perfect. Okay. By the grace of God, they will watch it. Some of us end up regretting because of comparison reason. We should stop listening outside and build our relationships what we want it to be. I'm writing from Yaoundé. Okay, we want to compare. Good evening, sir. It's Dennis from Kumba. One of all the problems today women are single is because they want but rich men. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Is it cool for a guy to get back with his ex-girlfriend after she left him for another guy, but after a time she pleaded to come back with him because she is now regretting, but she is too proudful. She didn't pass the message to the guy, but instead through her friend, so that her friend can pass the message to his ex-boyfriend. You guys should sort matters out. Talk with her if you love her, okay? Good evening, Mr. Leo. Looking for me, Mr. or Mrs. Wright in church is very hard because some guys will go and pay their pastor to arrange them a wife. That's when the pastor will call the girl and now prophesy to her that God has said that. Okay, bro, Elvis is writing from Tombell. I don't know how true that is. Good evening, Mr. Leo. For my own opinion, I think some people stay single because they too financial and you feel no one is good for you. You are not picky enough, so your standards are really low, which makes you date people of no chance of real sympathetic understanding. Kanjo Orlando, writing from Douala, complicated message. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm enjoying the program. Some people end up single because they claim to choose the best one, but they end up having problems in choice making. Adolf, writing from Magba Barash. Okay, we are running out of time. What should be the standard for men and women who are seeking for Mr. and Mrs. Right?
What I would tell us, for us seeking for Mr. and Mrs. Right is, we should each work on our characters. Okay. We should work on our individual characters because that is the primary factor. If, like for example, if I can't trust myself, I won't be able to trust my spouse. Because this thing is from within. What you get from within is what you will give to another person. And what you are expecting, you yourself, you should be ready to give it out. So work from yourself, starting from within. Work on your attitude. I can't be expecting you to be right, Mr. Leo, of which I myself am not right. It's not going to work. Okay. Because we have to both work on it. And then, as I would say, to crown it all on a very serious note, prayers. Prayers is the key. Communication, trust, respect, connection, intimacy. These are the things that bond relationship. Okay. And then we should send pride away. We should overlook the mistakes, the weaknesses of our spouses. In this light, we will build a very beautiful relationship. We should concentrate more on the beautiful aspect of love. What is love all about? Okay. Let's be focused on love and forget about these our weaknesses and all whatnot, or the standards I want from this person. It's true, before getting into any relationship, you have a standard. I have my standard, but there are some certain levels that we have to cut these standards.
Okay. Greetings, Mr. Kum, and to all the panelists. I think marriage is best between friends, because friendship in itself is a relationship that overlooks issues that siblings may not. I advise you both become friends first, then you see how feasible it is from there. Dr. Nubia is writing from Bingo. Good evening, Mr. Leo. This is Adele from Limbe. For me, I think so many people remain single because of the wrong choices they must have made when they are younger. Some women set standards of non-living things in the name of Mr. Right, and some men play with emotions of women in their youthful age, and when they think they are ready to get married, bam, karma hits them and they end up being single. So we all have to be responsible and be what you want to see from others. Okay, exactly what you just said here now. Take a few messages and then. Good evening, Mr. Leo. What an amazing topic. Well, I think most people remain single, especially women, because they trusted the wrong persons. They spend their lives and time waiting for who promised them marriage and later left them after a very long time. Yeah, I have seen things. I'm Grace, writing from Douala. Good evening to you, Grace. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Is it right for a lady to continue going in for a relationship when she keeps having heartbreak? Rosemary is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the panelists on set. My opinion on this, most ladies are single, particularly ones that earn money or has a good job, and choice to have been a fundamental error. I don't know. Tall guy, fair in complexion, half hair on the body, etc., and which she meanwhile she's short and ugly. Agawa, that's not good. Agawa Fashion is writing from Kumba. Good evening to you, Agawa. I suggest let a man love you more than you, the woman. It will help reduce many single in this world. I'm Sheila from Kumba. Thanks so much for the program. For those looking for Mr. and Mrs. Right, prayers is the key. Let's love, lead, and respect. God bless you all. God bless you too, Sheila. Bonsoir, s'il vous plaît. C'est possible d'avoir le décodeur MyMedia Prime TV dans la ville de Bafoussam. Désolé pour le dérangement. Oui, c'est très possible. Il faut m'écrire après ça. Je vous envoie le numéro. Vous appelez à Bafoussam. On va vous voir. OK, s'il vous plaît. Bonsoir, MyMedia Prime. S'il vous plaît, offre des câbles distribution sont-elles disponibles sur l'ensemble du territoire? Yes, you can get us across the nation. Gwladys, we are grateful you took part in today's edition of the program.
Effectivement, et la seule chose que je vais dire ici aux personnes qui nous regardent, c'est d'arrêter d'avoir peur. Parce que beaucoup de personnes, au jour d'aujourd'hui, ne se marient pas parce qu'elles ont peur. Ces personnes-là qui prennent la décision de rester célibataires, en fait, c'est parce qu'elles ont peur. Elles ont peur d'être déçues, elles ont peur d'être blessées, elles ont peur de ne pas être à la hauteur, elles ont peur que peut-être le conjoint ne sera pas à la hauteur, et ça crée beaucoup de blocages, et à la fin, elles se retrouvent célibataires. Ce n'est pas un choix, mais c'est la peur. Il faudrait qu'elles sachent qu'en ce moment, elles n'ont pas juste fait un choix, mais elles ont peur du mariage. Et il faudrait qu'elles sortent de cette peur-là, parce que le mariage, c'est une belle expérience. C'est une expérience divine, et je pense que, ça c'est mon humble opinion, tout le monde a le droit de la vivre.
Okay, the person who wants to get our decoders out there in Bafoussam, I just sent you the number, two of you. You get in contact with Mr. GP out there. He's going to get you guys connected. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. Thank you. What I would like to tell us, looking for the Mr. and Mrs. Right, that there is no Mr. and Mrs. Right. You just need to have that love, find somebody that loves you, you work out your relationship, and believe me, you live forever happy.
Mr. Luke, continue this topic next week. It's very teaching, okay? If the guests for tonight agree, we continue with it next week. Mr. John from Bamenda says, I support the auntie in white. Love never fails. So 1 Corinthians 13, 8, okay? It's true. Love never fails. Love conquers everything. Huh? Carlson, is Carlson still there? Thank you for coming today.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Leo. What I would like to end with the fact that I think before you get into a relationship, you should know yourself very well, because you cannot know the other person if you don't know yourself. The second thing is you should look for traits which people don't see. Don't fall in love with people who are beautiful physically. Look for traits hidden in the person, which only when you converse to the person you can see. And the third thing is you should get active. Don't go and look for a spouse or Mr. Right is right in a particular place. You can watch my Media Prime, you see Carlson talking on the television, and you are interested how old is smart guy. And you also ask Mr. Lo for his number. So you don't need to look only at a particular place. You can also look on, you should look at a wide range of places. Thank you very much, Mr. Leo, and thanks also to the wonderful panelists. It was really a great debate.
Okay. We also want to thank Ms. Asanji Yvette, who took part on the program from Bamenda. Thank you very, very much. Thank you too for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. I will end it all by saying we work on our individual characters. We should focus on prayers, stop listening from outside, getting confusion from people outside when it comes to your relationship and marriages. Focus more on love and you'll build a very beautiful one, a very beautiful relationship. Don't be scared, don't be frightened. Love is a beautiful thing. So why should you be scared? But there is no Mr. Right, but you can make Mr. Right, Mr. Wrong to be Mr. Right. So let's work together and build this successfully.
Good evening to you guys in the studio. I'm enjoying the program. It's Serge writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Serge. Good evening. La communication et le respect sont la clé du mariage. Donnel Chamadou depuis Yaoundé. Okay. This one says, Mr. Leo, good evening. Please, for the counselor's number, I will do that after the program. Just write to me. Hello, Mr. Leo. Miss Wright, she is still beautiful at age 40. She thinks that she has all the time. And fair. Charity is writing from Tico. Good evening, Mr. Leo. It's Blessing writing from Yaoundé. If you love a guy and you guys have been planning to get married and he has another girl but has never told you but has been killing you with love, out of sudden he comes up with another girl, what can you do? You talk with the counselor, please. Good evening, sir. I'm Mabel writing from Boya. To me, some women end up single because they give more love and receive less. This tends up to stay single. Good evening, Mr. Liu and it's Miss Isidore Chundam from Likumbatiko. My own point of view is many girls today are looking for a rich man or don't want to be controlled by a man. They want to be my master of their own. Wow. The text is not too clear. Okay, Good evening, Mr. Leo. Most rich women are not married because we boys are afraid of them. I'm Amidu writing from Ndop. Okay. Good evening, sir. I'm just from discovering the ongoing program. Some people end up being single because of hardship. That's one of the most reasons why many people end up being single. Nsungkikang Pius writing from Lebialem, based in Chang. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Is reeling this all the way from Bamenda. What if you both work together and he later on changes his mind, because men are unpredictable like women? We want to thank you all who took time off to watch this edition of the program. We are promising, if the panelists are going to agree, we may have to continue the program next week, like some of you are suggesting. We also want to say thank you to the production team, Eli, Desmond, and to you, Tabi Tambe Bryant, who is supervising the work we do out here. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.